Hi, welcome back to Ozark Garden Talk with White River Nursery. I'm Sarah.
I'm Charity.
And I'm Alex.
And when we were talking about the episode for this month, it's October, and a time that's really steeped in tradition and a little bit of folklore. And all of that, or so much of that, involves plants. I guess it heralds back to a time when people were a lot more closely connected with nature and their environment. And it's pretty neat. And so many of the plants that were connected to these stories we have at the nursery. And so we thought it'd be kind of fun to delve a little bit or do a little bit more research on those stories and share them here. Some of these I knew and participated in my whole life, but some of them were new to me. How about you guys?
Yeah, I've heard some of them, and I've learned a lot just looking up several different ones. So
Yeah,
I definitely grew up around a lot of this as well. I mean, we're all kind of from the area, so the Ozarks, there's a lot of that. But yeah, definitely a lot of new stuff as well.
yeah. I thought it was kind of neat to reminisce and to learn a little bit more. But what were some of your favorites that we talked about or we researched?
Well, this time of year, everybody likes to talk about the persimmons for sure, and the persimmon seeds. Yeah, and
little kind of newbie ones. Mine weren't quite
not quite ripe
not
yet.
quite ripe, but they were cute.
Did you cut any of them open?
I have not yet because they weren't quite ripe. So I was kind of, I don't know if that makes a difference. I didn't read that. Did you? Did you learn?
I didn't. I imagine on that guy, it's probably fully formed. It's orange enough, but. Yeah, have you started hearing people come in talking about whether they're seeing spoons? Or...
No, I haven't. I mean, I think they're just now ripening around the area, so we're not quite to mid-October. I know that a few people have been eating some, out in the woods. So I've had people tell me that they've gotten some, but no, I don't think I've heard anybody say it.
You know, it won't be long until some guy comes through the door in overalls and starts telling us about seeing spoons. I have a feeling.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the thing, right?
Right.
If we look at meteorology maps to compare to, we might have some snow this winter. But the saying is you cut the seed in half, which also seems like a scary task to me. Has anybody ever cut it in half?
I have.
How do you cut it in half?
It's stinking hard without cutting your finger off, because it's a hard little seed. It's just the seed.
Yeah.
Not, you won't see anything in just the persimmon. And you just very carefully have to cut that sucker.
Like an X-Acto knife or something. I mean,
just a really sharp knife. We did use a kitchen knife, just a really sharp kitchen knife. But yeah, I would imagine like an X-Acto or something like that. If you could protect your hands enough.
We're doing this after recording.
Okay, we'll add pictures to the show notes.
Yeah. So when you cut it open, then you're looking for a formation. It's a white part of the seed, right?
Yep.
In the kind of meat of the seed, and it's either going to be a knife, a fork, or a spoon.
Yes.
And the knife means you're cutting ice.
Yes,
that's right.
Means ice.
Sounds
right.
And then I know the spoon is snow. What's the fork?
Fork is, I think, is it just rain? Honestly, I didn't. I thought I knew this one.
Is like such a well-known one. We didn't even look it up.
Okay, so no, spoon foretells lots of snow.
Because you're shoveling it.
Shoveling it. Knife means bitter cutting wind.
Okay. Cutting wind.
And the fork suggests a milder season.
Okay.
So
let's
I
root
guess
for that.
Yeah, I know. It would be nice.
I don't know. Everybody always wants snow, so I guess a spoon will work. Snow is good for our plants, too.
That's right.
I mean, if we get a nice blanket of snow, it actually gives us water in the winter when we don't want to water.
Yes.
And it protects a lot of plants from freezing out.
And heaving.
Yeah. So...
Yeah.
And also persimmons are delicious. I love them.
But make sure they're ripe. I've made that mistake before.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
It is.
Pucker.
Yes. And I grew up it was like a well-known fact that you waited for the first frost.
Right.
But that's not actually true. So they don't have to get a frost to hit them for the sugars to form. So they are ripening now. We have not had a frost yet, and I don't foresee one.
Right.
So I think you could go out and find them. You want them to be a little bit squishy.
Yeah, that one's pretty squishy.
They kind of have to start looking pretty gnarly before they're good, but they are yummy.
I grew up waiting for them to drop off the tree.
That's always good.
But like just freshly off the tree, you know, and
before the bugs get
well, or the raccoons or anything
Right.
else. But you know, you don't have to wait for that either. They ripen on the tree enough to be eaten. So
yeah,
and yeah, they're delicious. I love them.
I enjoy them.
I like them better than pawpaws.
Well,
Don't tell
Really?
anybody.
Oh,
it's a different sweetness. Yeah.
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 Well, one of my favorites is the buckeye. We had a big buckeye tree in my backyard growing up, and whenever we were planning to record this, I went searching for some buckeyes and found a few. They have this kind of prickly hull on them, and then with the brown with the eye. If nobody's seen them, I know everybody around here probably has seen them, but maybe not in the hole. You know, so
it does look a lot different. I mean, like you might not, you might see that on the ground fallen and not realize that it's a buckeye. In the
right,
middle.
that's a buckeye. So it's kind of they're kind of fun to shell, and there we all get. I should harvest them, and we can give them out for free at the front register.
They one of the traditions with the buckeye is they do one of the folklore is that it is a protective, like talisman almost.
Yeah.
You know, so if you carry it with you, I've heard of them referred to as kind of like a worry stone. So if it's in your pocket, you work it with your fingers, kind of the very, very ancient fidget widget.
Yeah.
You know, that's
yeah.
what our kids had.
Fidget spinner.
Fidget spinner, thank you. Yeah, like that was, you know, you could have a buckeye to rub. And supposedly to dry them, because they are still moist in the husk, people would put it in their pocket so the warmth from your body temperature would dry them and keep them from shriveling or molding.
Right.
Yep.
And then also the oils from our hands just naturally keep it oiled in your pocket, so that preserves the nut to be, you know, kept longer with you. And the buckeye is like, do not eat these.
Yeah,
they are poisonous. I think all pieces, like the leaves, the wood, I can't remember if that was the wood, but the nuts and the leaves and the flowers are not usable to ingest.
So, I was reading that squirrels know to leave them on the ground for a certain period of time, and over time the toxins break down and they're kind of washed out. And this might be one of the reasons they became popular, something to carry around, because they didn't get eaten immediately.
So they were
actually
around,
sat there. And going back to what you were saying, I've actually picked up buckeyes before and set them on the counter, and they'll shrivel up. You don't get that hard, long-lasting nut. But
it's interesting that it'll do that.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, so many of these plants that are associated with this old folklore, I love that modern science is now telling us more about them. So buckeyes, for instance, do contain a compound that is anti-inflammatory and vein strengthening, and a relative of the buckeye, the horse chestnut, they actually use in modern pharmacology. So it's
that's
in
interesting.
medicine.
I didn't know that.
I did see that. It was for arthritis. People would carry them around for arthritis, and I wonder if you get any of those oils.
Yeah,
if there's really something to that.
It's interesting
to
think about. You know, I mean, these parallels that they couldn't have known, but they knew.
There was some kind of association there.
Yeah.
They knew something that felt
neat.
a little bit better. I always thought of them as more of a lucky rabbit's foot or something that you carried around for luck, which apparently, you know, some superstitious people would carry them in card games or whatever, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, and the other part of that, if you're talking about that kind of thing, is you are not supposed to buy them. Because then they're ineffective. So they must be gifted or found in order to retain that. So that's pretty neat too.
With the apologies to all parents out there, when I was a kid, we used to take buckeyes, and you know, they're really hard, especially after they're cured, and we would rub them on something and they get really hot, and then we would burn each other with them.
Okay, that's a new one.
You know,
I've never heard of that one.
There's some local Ozark lore for you.
Yeah, that is interesting.
True story.
Yeah.
What else you got?
One that I thought was really interesting was sassafras. Just the stories around. Well, it was used. I guess the roots was used to make a spring tonic in these parts. I guess, and supposedly that it would thin the blood and flush out the heaviness of winter and prepare the body for summer work. Kind of be an uplifting tonic, I guess, which I thought we were discussing earlier probably had something to do with the vitamins in the
Right.
roots that people were lacking after winter. But I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally in the Ozarks, there was not a lot of, well, I mean, you didn't have fresh vegetables, you didn't have refrigeration, so, getting some kind of green tea in your body probably did make you feel a lot
I'm sure
better.
it did.
And it tastes good. Wasn't it the original flavoring for root beer?
It
or
was used as a substitute. I'm not sure if it was the original because
Okay.
Sarsaparilla is another plant, but it's further south grown, southern
It's like
U.S.
a
But
southwestern thing.
and I mean, I've actually growing up, we did actually find sassafras trees and harvest pieces of the roots. You should always wild harvest respectfully and don't
Yeah.
hurt the tree, which is hard because you're digging at the root.
Right.
But we tried it, and we actually did kind of brew a batch or two. I remember in my childhood, and it was definitely flavored just like a root beer.
Really, I've never done it
Yeah,
actually before.
It was pretty neat. But after a couple of times of it, I know my dad was like, I don't feel like this is right to do to the tree, to like dig, even though we weren't doing
Yeah.
a lot of harvesting. So, there's just that kind of respect for plants that I mean,
They didn't. I mean,
we were not from the Ozarks. This was in the Washita River Valley area.
Yeah.
So, and also we were transplants, from Texas. So, but it's interesting how honoring plants really goes hands in hand with mountain traditions.
Yeah.
Because it's so necessary for survival.
Right, you didn't want to damage that tree because you needed it for,
and just respect of other living things, including animals.
Right.
And
Yeah,
stuff like that.
that is kind of a through line with a lot of this stuff. I mean, the ginseng, the buckeyes, not over harvesting
Right.
and really kind of respecting that resource so
Yeah.
you had it to go back to.
Yeah. The other
that's
thing
cool.
about sassafras is they're just beautiful. About
They are.
it's coming up.
Sassafras.
Their show is coming up.
Yeah.
So they're going to be the bright fall colors, which is just wonderful.
I have a few in my new backyard, and they're actually, they're showing color now.
Yeah.
They're very early to color
I mean,
up.
ours in the pots
The one behind you, is
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
starting to show a little color back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I wasn't quite. I didn't realize how many of the parts of the sassafras. I mean, the whole thing can
Yeah.
be used in different things. I didn't. You always see if you ever cook Cajun food or gumbo, they have filet powder, which is I didn't realize that was sassafras leaves dried and ground
up.
Which I mean, it's just
Yum.
kind of an. I know. I was like, every time I hear that, I'm like, oh, well, I should find some sassafras and dry that
Well,
out and make
Yeah.
my own filet powder.
It is worth mentioning here that sassafras was used extensively for flavoring in commercial
Yeah.
products, and then they stopped because it contains saffrol, which is carcinogenic in high
right.
doses.
In high doses.
In high
Right,
doses.
which
Yes.
so is just about everything in very high doses.
Right.
But just
Yeah.
a word of caution there.
But
Don't.
it
Yeah.
was still readily available for personal use,
Right.
as opposed to commercial scale.
Yeah.
So that's the sassafras. So I was reading up some of my research I did from a local Ozark author, Brandon Weston. He has several books. One of them is Ozark Folk Magic, which we happen to have here today. He references a few, and actually has some talks, online talks currently that you could enroll in, called witch trees. So there's a handful of trees in the Ozarks that people would refer to as witch trees for various reasons. And sassafras was one.
Okay.
And pawpaw is another one, which we go on about pawpaws here all the time. We know great food source. For the mountain folk also, but like, you know,
The wildlife.
we
yeah.
love it too
Yeah.
now. The reason that pawpaw and sassafras are one of the reasons it was referred to as witch trees, because swallowtail butterflies will land on them, and they would sometimes see them kind of in mass after they've emerged from the cocoon. Sorry, chrysalis.
Yeah.
Wrong thing. So the swallowtail butterflies will land on them just to rest and kind of sun. And so that was considered like spirits, transformation. So they identified those sometimes as witch trees. The pawpaw, which again, we know all the great things about it as far as food source and nutrition at the time. I mean, it was like, it gave them vitamins and protein and all the things.
It's a big fruit.
And the seeds for pawpaws actually are a little bit like the buckeye. They can be carried or used too.
They kind of
there's
look
different
similar. I mean,
traditions for that. Yeah.
they're a
was
big
interesting.
seed.
They're very big, and they're also, we know, very hard. Like the seeds are hard, so they had like that staying power. You know what I mean? Like they took a lot to get.
They didn't get lost. I mean, as easily as or eaten
so
probably.
I just thought that was cool. The just the idea of, and we know that sassafras is used by swallowtails, like. The caterpillars use a certain swallowtail, and so it makes sense that they're going to be there.
Yeah, and people were just observing nature a lot more.
Exactly.
They were just a lot more involved and paying attention a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
No choice.
Yeah, not TV. We're not looking at your phone.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I thought just one more thing on sassafras. I thought it was kind of neat, and they used sassafras sticks back in the day to preserve food in a way. Like they would use a stick to stir lard, and it would supposedly keep it sweet or keep it from turning. And I don't know. I don't know how much of that was science or if it's ever been researched to see if it had any, chemical in it that caused a reaction in the lard, but some of those things people did kind of give mystical properties, they didn't necessarily know what the reasoning was, but it kind of added to that lore and added to that
I thought it
magic.
was kind of interesting, like early in the settling of the eastern U.S., sassafras root bark was a massive export to Europe. They shipped tons and tons of that stuff, and so even in metropolitan Europe, they were using it as a cure-all. It was in all kinds of tinctures. And,
I mean, we have a lot of plants that were almost harvested to extinction in the Ozarks. Ginseng, you mentioned earlier, is one of them. But there are some patches of ginseng that have come back, but there was a point where it was over harvested and not able to be found, as much as the Appalachian Mountains. And what I thought was interesting in reading this book by Brandon Weston was a lot of our Ozark folk information has come from Appalachia, as well as some of the European influences, but also as well as some of the Native Americans in our area at the time. But a lot of that, he's referencing a lot of the Appalachian influence, on some of the plants too, like how to use them. Right. Yeah. It's just interesting that, and our mountain diversities, biodiversity of the two mountain areas.
It's pretty similar, isn't it?
Are similar.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting correlation to me to think about how it feels far apart.
Right.
But
well, probably a lot of those settlers just moved across the country as it got a little bit more populated that way.
Well, what happened after the Louisiana Purchase? A lot of those people could move down here and have large tracts of land for free.
Right.
So, it was an opportunity to kind of seek your fortune.
But it was also similar terrain.
Yeah, sure.
So they were able to kind of translate
a lot of the same plants, a lot of the same farming techniques, which, not that farming is easy in the hills, but
that's why you have to do all the wild plants.
That's right.
All the native plants.
Yeah.
One of the harvesting, talking about that, I read that the witch hazel, which we know medicinal, I mean, you can go buy witch hazel right now at any drugstore in a bottle.
Yes.
So the astringent properties were used for skincare, and witch hazel, the Ozark witch hazel, Himalis vernalis, right?
Spring witch hazel, yeah.
Which is Ozark witch hazel, which we should change our labeling on because that is special to the Ozarks. But anyway, both species that we carry, have the same medicinal properties. But the Ozark witch hazel was harvested to almost extinction, but for skincare.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And
I mean, that's
come back.
Yeah.
The populations of the plants have come back, but at one point they were almost unfindable.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Go out to Kings River Falls in late winter or very early spring, and the whole place just smells amazing.
It is an awesome scent.
There is witch hazel everywhere out there, all along the river, all along the creeks. I mean, it's amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, we can use it in our yards too. I mean, it is something that's harvestable for us if we grow it and use it. The witch part actually comes from Middle English, W-Y-C-H-E. So it didn't have anything to do with, like, the witch tree. But common language actually just considered that, but it means bendable or flexible because the branches are so pliable, and actually the branches were and are used for dowsing. So they would cut off the Y branch and then use it for either water dowsing or even body, like finding an illness. I thought that was pretty
cool. I didn't realize that. Water witching.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. Don't they call that witching as well?
Water witching, yeah.
So I think other woods are used for that, the water dowsing, but I didn't know witch hazel was because I never think of it as a very big plant.
No. I mean, more of a
limbed plant, But anyway, I thought that was pretty neat.
I always think that's amazing, though. The people that can water witch. I've never done it myself, but we even had the gas company guy out here looking for a leak, and he had metal rods that he was using to douse for the leak.
He also told us not to tell anybody he was doing that.
I know. I won't say what gas company it was.
No.
Not that it's hard to find.
But yeah, he was like, I swear, I don't know why, but it works.
Yeah.
And I mean, there you go.
Well, I've tried it. I'm just going to admit it. I've tried it. Trying to find a water line on my property.
Yeah.
And I don't have the gift. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
I did not find it.
I definitely tried it when I was a kid. I did that horse.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting.
It is really interesting. And maybe you have to have, maybe there is some magic to that.
Yeah.
You have to have the touch or whatever, so it's kind of fun to think about, but or to play with. But one of the other things that I mean we're all familiar with in the Ozarks is polkweed or polk, and I know my granny had always talked about just eating like polk, and I always thought it was salad. But I was reading or watching a video from the is it the Black Foragers? She had a video on how to prepare. I mean, she was calling it black salad, and which I guess is just a older way to say a salad. I really couldn't quite find the original or origin of that word, but it was kind of interesting. But she was cooking it by just taking the young shoots and boiling and then reboiling them, and then frying them before she ate them. So the polk plant has been considered a trickster plant, because it is poisonous but edible. It was one of those first sources of greens,
vitamin C.
vitamins, and but it was kind of and very nourishing if you knew the rules. You couldn't. You had to cook it a certain way.
There used to be like a saying, like it'll cure you or kill you.
I think that polk definitely has that that reputation. But I didn't realize that the ink from the berries was thought to have some magic powers and used by people who really did make, believe in witchcraft or that kind of thing to make their spells or draw their symbols, protective symbols, or but it could be protective or it could be
Right.
a curse.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting to see the associations that people made to some of these plants.
And, this is going to be a mildly unpopular opinion. I think it's beautiful. Like,
Okay,
if
yeah.
I have some growing in my yard, I will let one grow because, those, like, magenta stems,
Yes.
those big they're
So Alex
gorgeous.
is the first person. I grew up with pokeweed all around me, around as a kid, and it was just tall weeds everywhere. Now
You can't get rid of it.
It's
we
beautiful.
did, probably against medical advice, we used it for nail polish.
Oh.
So we would take the berries and actually paint our nails, and it lasted quite a long time before it washed off. So that was fun. It probably absorbed into our nail bed and could have poisoned us, but it wasn't that much. We were small. I don't know. But Alex is the first person I've ever seen to actually have an ornamental poke weed in his
a
yard.
flower bed.
In a flower bed, and it was beautiful.
Yes.
It was. He had pruned it. It was tree form, and it looked awesome in the setting. It was.
Why, thank you.
It was ornamental. It was
funny.
landscape worthy. Where I grew up, it was just like weeds in a wall. Just like so much of it because it drops the seeds and reseeds. But pokeweed is actually now becoming more popular because of the amount of butterflies plant. It's a butterfly plant.
Oh, I did not realize
Yes,
that.
I can't remember.
Birds eat the berries,
Birds
too.
eat the berries. So it's actually a wonderful pollinator ecosystem plant for us to have. So you
Look,
are
all I'm
ahead of
saying-
your time, man.
All I'm saying here is if it was native to China, they would be importing it and selling it at Lowe's. I
Right,
guarantee you.
yeah.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
That root system, though, once that gets established, it's
Yeah.
hard to.
The roots-
It's like a yucca.
The roots
trying
are also
to dig all that out.
Yeah, they're also really cool. Like the shapes they can make.
Yeah.
My mother had a poke root in the backyard that she loved for years and years.
Oh, she had dug up. And,
Yeah,
like
it was just
dried.
on this
They're
shelf on the
impressive.
fence. Yeah.
That's fun, actually.
I guess my family loves poke. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
You can buy it
Well,
honestly, I guess.
Now everyone out there should leave at least one poke.
Just
for
one.
the and good luck with that one thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't realize that that the juice from the berries was used as an ink during the Civil War, when commercial ink was scarce. And what were you saying, Alex, about?
Some people say that the Declaration of Independence, the first draft, was written with pokeberry ink.
That's interesting.
That would be really
I don't know that
cool.
there's any evidence to support this, but it's interesting.
Well, somebody said it somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah.
I read it online, so
Yeah.
That's got to be true. It's got to be true. Who were another one? Oh, elderberry was another, and I read a little bit about the witch tree reputation from that one too. It had a lot of superstition. I think that a lot of that, from what I understood, went back to like the Europeans and a lot of the Scotch Irish that moved here and some Germans. It was kind of a tree with some powers, known to have powers in Europe.
Which has actually been medically proven.
Right.
That it
Yeah,
has healing properties and
Antiviral.
they're great for making tea out of the leaves and using the berries. All of it should be processed somehow because it can also lead to stomach upset and even further issues of going to the bathroom. But it is definitely has a lot of, like, for colds, coughs, flu season. I mean, we all of us here probably have had elderberry syrup or an elderberry tincture just to help us boost our immune system.
Yeah.
So.
During the COVID times, it
Yeah.
became extremely
Very popular, yeah.
and I was doing like the elderberry gummies daily, just kind of as a preventative. So
Yeah, and it's easy to grow.
and it tastes good.
And it's easy to grow. It grows in a lot of different environments. It's
I
a good
wonder
plant.
how many of these like witch trees just has to do with the healers being known as, witches, or
Right.
back in the day they were
Granny women.
Yeah.
They're called granny women.
Yeah.
Or yarb doctors.
The yarb doctors were the herbalists, really. That was more of their healing was with plants.
Yeah.
But the granny women did a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
They could
incantations
do other
and various.
Yeah.
There was
and of course, everybody needed to have a granny woman somewhere close because the healers that were male could not help the women of the area.
Right.
So I thought that was really, I mean, of course. Like,
Yeah, more
mean,
traditional times.
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually completely agree with that. I would much rather, personal opinion here, I would much rather go to a female doctor for female issues.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense. It's very logical. So, anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I
But
mean, yeah,
the elderberry was also one that I think they used the leaves to put in their hats. There's several plants I found that you could wear it on your head as a cooling or like fever release, but like even just a protection situation. And elderberries, I think, was one of those too.
And this is another plant, again, proven benefits, taste delicious. Don't go out and just eat handfuls of the berries. I actually did that for several days in a row and was wondering why I wasn't feeling good. Elderberries contain cyanide and
in the seed, specifically in the berry, right?
So usually they're pressed through a screen to kind of get the juice out, separate the seeds. I was just eating them whole.
Like fresh berry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And wondering why I didn't feel great. And that went on for like a week and a half or so before I
Put
two
it
and two
together.
together.
Yeah.
and I stopped, and lo and behold, I felt great. So,
yeah. Maybe the protection of the juice kind of helped you recover a little faster from its own poison.
Sure.
But yeah, I thought that was I didn't really know a lot of the lore surrounding some of, like, you're supposed to ask for the elder mother's permission before cutting elder wood. Thinking about all the times we've hacked back elderberry bushes.
Trying to control
I
it.
did not know that when I had John cut back the elderberries the other day, so hopefully he's all right.
Poor John.
Well, kind of in the pokeweed elderberry. I mean, some of those are considered weeds, or just not even ornamental necessarily, depending on your opinion. Mullein, which grows roadside, typically grows in disturbed areas, so it's kind of a pioneer plant with a very large root system. Surely everyone's heard about, it's a good toilet paper if you run out in the woods, because it's got that big soft fuzzy leaf, and because it does have a big root system, it is a bioaccumulator, so it's good to use in composting. So there's lots of uses for it, but it's also a great candle. And one of the common names for it in the Ozarks was witch's taper. So the seed, the bloom stalk that comes up really tall, becomes a candelabra, kind of. So you let that completely bloom and completely dry out on the plant. It should be completely dry. You don't want any moisture left in it. And at that point, the seeds have dispersed too, usually.
Yep.
Then you can cut it below the bloom husks. I don't know what the bloom form is. But anyway, for a handle. And in the Ozark region, because wax was so expensive, they would extend the life of their candles or the wax that they had by coating the old dried bloom stalks of mullein in wax, either dipping it or drizzling it over, and that stalk will burn for several hours. So it's a very good light source.
So
That's
essentially,
cool.
it's just a very efficient wick, right?
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I did read that in Brandon's book, but he also says he recommends burning it outside because it will smoke, and smolder. But I mean, I think about like all the tiki torches we go to, the store and buy and fill up with gross gas, and it's like,
And they're
that'd
probably
be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be neat.
nylon or something anyway.
Exactly. So
yeah, I've heard a lot
pretty
of
neat.
people talk about mullein for respiratory issues and
Yeah.
even smoking it
Yes.
for like a
Rolling it.
yeah. I've never done that, and I don't know enough about it to.
I have
Yeah.
known people who have done that, and my mom, we harvested young mullein leaves when I was a kid and dried them, and usually mixed it with peppermint to make teas
Right.
if we had any congestion or colds or whatever.
Could have invited Allie for this
Right,
one.
I was going to say, I don't know if this may be a little early segue.
Yeah.
But Hill Country Holistic will be at our Native and Creative Community Market, October
Yeah.
25th, which is right around the corner. And she actually does responsible wild harvest and grows a lot of the herbs that she does harvest in her own yard. And she does use mullein in some of her tea mixes, and she actually does have herbal smokes with various mixes. And I'm pretty sure I asked her, she's bringing those along.
Okay.
So they'll be at her booth, as well as all the different teas. And she even has separate herbs. So like you can just buy a specific herb, which of course would be nice and fresh and locally harvested.
Yeah.
And by local, I mean literally less than a mile from us. So, you know, I mean, it's
quarter
just,
of a mile,
we can
I mean.
almost throw a stone. So that'll be a fun booth to look at our Native and Creative Community Market.
Yeah, and she lists all the ingredients
Yes.
in each of her blends,
Yeah.
and it's really neat.
Yeah. She could probably talk about all of these
That's-
plants we've already
yep.
talked about. you
Yeah,
know,
probably so.
And how she would use them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm trying to think. Did you guys have any others that you wanted to throw in there, or?
I'll throw one other one in there, which is ginseng. We kind of
yeah.
touched on that briefly, but ginseng has been used for thousands of years, the Korean ginseng, and of course we have our own variant here, and it is still commercially harvested. And there are a couple guys that sit on the tailgate of their pickup truck down at maybe Turner Bend.
I was going to
every
say it's
year.
kind of a
With-
Madison County
Yeah,
thing out
but,
there.
But they hang out there all day at certain times of year. There's a legal harvest period. It's restricted. And you go down there with your trash bag full of ginseng, and they pay a lot
pay good
of
money.
for
Yeah.
this stuff. It's hard to find. I've looked for it. There are a lot of plants that look kind of like it. And, still to this day, people that do go out and harvest it, this might actually even be mandated by the law now, but it's a long-standing tradition where at the time when you're harvesting it, it tends to have berries on it.
Yeah.
So you pull the plant and you replant the berries
Yes.
back in that location.
Yes.
It takes years for it to become mature enough to really be usable.
Right.
And one thing I read, which I didn't know, and I've read a fair amount about ginseng because at one time I had fantasies of just being
making it rich.
Yes, this is going to be my new job.
Yeah.
I wander through the woods anyway, so I'm going to make my living that way, and it didn't work out. But I was reading that areas that are over harvested, the plants in the following generations tend to be smaller and harder to find. And so there was kind of an old Ozark thing that if you over harvested, actually what they said was if you told somebody
Yes.
Yeah.
about your patch,
Yeah.
that it would then hide or like move. But,
Yeah.
from a scientific perspective, it's kind of interesting to think that they adapt by being harder to find,
Yeah.
and that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And it's a plant, not an animal.
Yeah.
Right.
Adapting
But it's telling
over time.
And it's not like it's the same plant. It's like it's neighbor plants in the area
Right.
know somehow
Oh, we
and
should
respond.
We should talk about mycorrhizal fungi next
Oh, Lord.
time.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
We could get into
talk
this.
about really,
Yeah, the
really
communication under the ground. Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It is. The ginseng, I think, is a lot more prevalent in the Appalachian mountain ranges. The Blue Ridge Mountains, I have a friend that lives there, and she has some
Oh,
Well-
on her
really?
property.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
There are now
It's really interesting.
There are now programs in the state of Arkansas anyway for commercially grown ginseng, like through the Green Industry Association
Oh,
and
interesting.
the Department of
Uh-huh.
Agriculture. You can get permits to greenhouse grow But it takes years and
It's a
years.
long time.
It's like a Christmas tree farm.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
You're not getting those dividends for a long time. And it's kind of an interesting thing. Apparently, back in Eastern Asia, ginseng is all but extinct. I mean, it's pretty well been wiped out, which is one of the reasons it's worth so much over here now. They're actually importing tons of it for traditional medicine in China. And a lot of that is coming from the Ozarks and the Appalachian region.
Yeah. You mentioned the secret spot. It's kind of like Morels, right?
Yeah.
You don't tell anybody,
Yeah.
but because of the magical, that kind of side of it, and the healing properties. This is also in Brandon's book, that families have split over someone leaking, disowned each other and so forth, because you do not let anyone know where that patch is. And he does have a tale in here about a healer that was an apprentice, and he got excited because he found it with his mentor, and he pulled the whole thing up, the huge root and everything, and stumbled on his way to show his mentor, and his excitement, put his hand down on a rock to catch himself, and a timber rattler bit him. So immediate
Karma.
response
Yeah.
to the harvest. I thought that was just, those are the kind of stories I love.
That's fun.
Such an interesting thing.
I don't
He was
know.
okay.
Yeah, but he
He
did
did
get
live.
I don't know about you guys. If I hear somebody talking about their morel spot or ginseng or even a really good fishing spot, I don't ask where it is.
Yeah.
I
No,
feel like
you know
this
better.
is
Disrespectful.
yeah, this is like an Ozark rule.
Yeah.
You know, that's
I
your
agree.
thing.
It's passed down. I have a friend from Madison County, and her dad's an old timer and has lived in that area. They've lived in the same area on the same property for a few generations, and they have a ginseng patch. They'll show the harvest of morels, and they'll always have a huge spread.
Wow.
But yeah, you don't ask where it comes from, because that's just passed down. You got to be in the fam.
That's right.
to know.
Yeah.
So it was kind of
Yeah.
interesting. But one thing I don't know if these guys on the side of the road with trucks buying ginseng pay extra for roots
Oh.
that are shaped like people,
Yeah.
or there's something to that
Yes.
has more value if the root's shaped
Yeah.
like a person.
And that goes back to the Asian tradition too.
Yeah.
And no, I'm pretty sure these guys are just paying by the pound.
By the
but-
weight,
but
yeah,
you
I'm
better
sure.
believe they're pulling out the really cool ones and probably selling those individually. So
I'm sure they are.
It's
I'm
an
sure they are.
interesting secret resource of the Ozarks. It's like,
Yeah, people go.
we will not have ginseng for sale here, so please do not ask. That is an extremely hard plant.
that would be so
grow.
cool.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
think so.
Yeah, I wish.
Well, I know, wouldn't that be? It would be cool if we could commercially grow that, but I don't know. We'd have to protect it. We'd have to keep that under lock and key here.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know
We'd have to
how
hide
much that
it
would
in a
cost.
secret-
Fences, floodlights, security guards.
Yeah, that would be worse than the cannabis, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, all right. Well, I think that kind of gives you a good flavor. There's so many resources. Brandon Weston's book, Ozark Folk Magic, had a lot, and he had a couple other books
Yes.
that really tie in plants and folklore, which were really
And just a little teaser, we should be having him come to our nursery. So we don't have a date yet. So keep watching our website.
Exciting!
Yeah.
I knew we were
That'll be
trying,
good.
I think we've
but
got him
I
on
didn't
board.
know.
Be a good
Good
class.
deal.
I know.
That's a perfect
Yeah.
perfect match. So
Yeah.
well, very cool. Well, I guess that's it for
And
now. But
just the Native and Creative Community Market is coming up on Saturday, October 25th. So
Yeah.
please come. We're going to have all kinds of fun stuff going on. That big pot of beans still going to be here. Beans
Yes.
and cornbread
Lots of
around
good
lunch
food.
hour. We got music from the Daredevils. Sorry,
Dead horse?
Dead Horse Mountain Band. Oh my goodness. And they're at lunch, around the lunch hour, and we're going to have just great vendors.
It's going to be good. Yeah, we've got a good group.
And just some really good educational opportunities, just things to learn about water quality in your own yard. And we've got a couple of community groups that just are in our area doing things, including Trail Mix NWA. I'm really excited to meet them in person, but they are a very active community group that gets out and does things out in the woods. As a group. So a really great community for people, that
things
enjoy
that people
our nursery.
might be able to get involved in too.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So it's going to be a really fun day.
It will be.
Oh, and it starts with yoga, which is a great way to start your day.
Yes.
8:30 that morning.
I've been enjoying our yoga classes.
I know.
It's
We have
been a
one
lot
this
of fun.
Saturday. Well, oops. No.
Yeah, it'll be the
When
previous
this is
Saturday.
coming out, it'll be coming on October 25th. It's hard to do these pre-recordings.
I know. It's coming right up.
But yeah, we've got a lot going on for the fall, so
yeah, and we'll link to all of that in our show notes. I'll link to some photos of some of our plants that we talked about, and link to some of the books and things we referenced and programs. So anyway, awesome. Well,
Love it.
Thank you very much.